The year 1429 was significant in the history of England, marking the coronation of Henry VI as King of England. This momentous event occurred within a backdrop of political tension and shifting power dynamics in both England and France. Henry VI's ascent to the throne would later define one of the most tumultuous periods in English history, including the eventual eruption of the Wars of the Roses. Born on December 6, 1421, Henry VI was the only child of King Henry V and Catherine of Valois. His birth came during a time of immense military success for his father, as Henry V had achieved great victories in the Hundred Years' War against France, notably at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. However, Henry V's sudden death in 1422 left the English crown in a precarious situation. Henry VI was less than a year old when he became king, leading to a regency period that would shape his reign and the future of England. The coronation of Henry VI took place on November 6, 1429, at Westminster Abbey. This event was deeply symbolic and strategic, emphasizing legitimacy and continuity during a period when England's leadership faced significant challenges. Being a child monarch, Henry's rule initially fell into the hands of powerful regents, including his uncles, John of Lancaster, the Duke of Bedford, who managed English interests in France, and Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester, who oversaw governance in England. The regency was marked by conflicts of interest and power struggles that foreshadowed the eventual disunity among England's ruling nobility. Henry VI's coronation in 1429 held dual significance. It was not only an assertion of his rightful position as King of England but also a declaration of continued English claims to the French crown, a legacy left by his father through the Treaty of Troyes in 1420. Under this treaty, Henry V was recognized as heir to the French throne, bypassing the Dauphin Charles. Thus, Henry VI's coronation was more than a ceremonial rite. It was an essential gesture reinforcing England's political stance during an era of contested succession in France. However, the geopolitical climate in 1429 was far from stable. The French forces, under the inspiration of Joan of Arc, had begun to reverse many of the English military gains. Joan's leadership in lifting the siege of Orleans in May 1429 reinvigorated the French cause and posed a significant challenge to English claims in France. This development diminished the impact of Henry VI's coronation as King of France, which took place in 1431, 2 years after his English coronation, in Notre Dame Cathedral, Paris. Despite this symbolic act, Henry's influence in France waned, and by the end of his reign, English territories there had largely been lost. Domestically, Henry VI's reign became synonymous with internal strife and the gradual disintegration of royal authority. As he grew older, Henry proved to be a weak and indecisive ruler, more inclined toward piety and scholarship than governance. His inability to assert control allowed powerful noble factions to vie for dominance, contributing to the outbreak of the Wars of the Roses between the rival houses of Lancaster and York. The coronation of Henry VI in 1429 thus stands as a pivotal moment that underscored both the potential and vulnerability of his kingship. It marked the continuation of the legacy of Henry V, but also laid the groundwork for decades of political instability. The early coronation was not enough to compensate for the intrinsic weaknesses of his reign, which were marked by poor leadership, loss of French territories, and the eventual civil war that would reshape the English monarchy. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Medieval Chronicles 1066. See you next time. Stay curious.